All right. We are back. Let's do it live. It's been a hot minute. Been well over a hot minute, actually. Let me know that I sound all right. See if you remember the drill. Hit me with your favorite emoji. Good to see some familiar faces already in the chat. Coach Grace, congratulations. Nick, my man, all good. Let's go. Shane Cram, appreciate it, sir. It has been a minute since we've done these lives. I really like doing these lives. It's just hard as hell during the fall sometimes. You got football coming at you from every different direction. Monday nights are tough. Definitely want to get back to off-season Monday nights. But until then, we'll see. Try to do kind of hodgepodge all over the place. Basically, I just didn't want to do a video today, so you get a live instead. And if you're catching it live, I certainly appreciate the support. It's that time of year, man. If you're still playing and you coach or play at lower levels, high school, playoff time, important game time. So pretty fun on a number of different levels. Let me know, check in with the chat. Appreciate it, Coach Graves. Where you're at in your season. Is it done? Is it wrapped? Are you fortunate enough to still be going? Always fun to get a chance to practice on Thanksgiving, those types of pretty cool football moments. So, and if you're not at the lower levels, if you're college or just a fan of the league, this is it. Real football season always starts Thanksgiving. So critical, crucial moments, and pretty fired up to see this ball game continue to ramp up here, whether it be college ball, the league, all sorts of good football being played all over the place. So pretty fired up. All right. And if you have questions, there's never been a better time right now because I am only answering questions. No agenda, nothing to talk about. This is it. Talk a little ball here, have a little fun. And again, these things are only as good as the people and comments, questions, engagement, all those types of things. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting the channel. And let's get this thing going. Ba-boom. Shane, congrats. Second round this Friday. Very nice. Chase, what's good? Appreciate you keeping the notifications on fire. Love it. Home from school. Enjoy. First timer, Eric. Welcome to the club. It's been a hot minute, so we're good for you here. Nick, patiently waiting for next season so I can send you an email to sponsor your show. Appreciate it. Yeah, let it know. Email's always open. Coach Gray's probably setting the bar for the quarterback school community this week with the state championship game coming up this weekend. You got to share the link. Please share the link on Twitter and make sure I get a chance to watch the link. Probably won't be able to watch it. Well, maybe. Depends on, I wonder, you guys are probably Central Time, so I might be able to catch a little bit of it early. We play 7 o'clock on the West Coast for our semifinal game, and against a really good team. We're going to have to play really well, and it's that time of year. Every team left is a really good team. So fired up for it. The TST Network. We got a bunch of first-timers. Appreciate you all checking in. Hit me with your favorite emoji, and let the questions just go. My thing about this time of year, honestly, and I touched on it already, but this is my favorite time of year for football. I know some people love a good clinic season. Some people love the start of the year. Some people love the, I don't know, the meat of the schedule, the league schedule. For me, this is always my favorite time of year across all levels of football. So high school is wrapping up. Every game is critical. College, coming to the end of the year, figuring out what the bowl situation looks like, depending on what level you're at, getting some seeded things if you're in the FCS, the lower level divisions, or you're working on the playoffs, bowls, conference championships, and then the NFL. I know the NFL feels like it's always going on, and it really is. But Thanksgiving to the bowl is really what separates that league, those great teams, all those types of things. So just fun to see teams start coming together in championship moments. All good. Chase, just recently watched some old X's and O's videos I missed. Oh, nice. Chase, any new concepts in the works? I'm going to let you all know here. A little insider tip. I got the tip from, who did I get the tip from? I won't out them on the live stream, but someone shared with me a significant number of playbooks. So the more X's and O's are coming. Quarterback School has got access to a number of more recent digital playbooks. So I'm very excited. If you have concepts that multiple teams, systems use, I can almost guarantee that I can get a chance to find them in a number of playbooks. So I'm very excited about that. If you have suggestions on concepts that you want broken down, hit me with them, put them in the suggestions, email me, a bunch of different ways to be able to do it. I'm always welcome those suggestions. Those videos, I know I've mentioned this before, but those videos take significantly longer to create. Hopefully I can make it a little bit faster now that they're all digital copies. I don't have to take old school photos of the hard playbooks. But yeah, if there are concepts you want to see, let me know. Fire it up. Boom. Derek Armstrong. Thought on the offense you think would fit Justin Fields' skill set. Love your content, by the way, Derek. Yeah, definitely got some thoughts about what offense Justin Fields' skill set would fit in. Basically, one that I don't love putting like artificial barriers on systems like this. I think of it more as I want a offensive system, comprehensive and adaptive enough to be able to take advantage of what Justin Fields does really well. And for me, that's a number of things, but I also think he does certain things better than many other people, and that is a combination of accuracy down the field, big play, play action, drive throws, and his ability to move in whether it's running, quarterback runs. I want to see quarterback specific primary ball carrier, not zone read, not read options. I want to see quarterback runs, and I want to see him move off the landmark from being straight drop back pass. So whether it, we're rolling out, we're changing the pocket location, we're play actioning, we're booting, all those things coupled together, I think is what I think fits his skill set the best. So I don't think that can work in any system. Great players can work in any system. That's the beauty of great players. It's about the combination of the system being able to be adaptive enough to change week in and week out with his skill set and who he has around him and who's calling the plays. And what does that look like? What is that mindset, aggressiveness, the pieces around him, all those types of things. But I'm more than excited to see what happens with the Bears organization, Justin Fields in particular, but it's a good time to be a Bears fan. Boom. Shane Cram. Oh, that's an easy one. You're setting me up. Chase, there's no way I'm doing an air raid course. I am not in the, not certified like that. Shane Cram, I've heard the concept 989. What is that exactly? Oh, you're just putting it on a T for me. So that's a digit system concept, and that just is their variation of basically three verticals is the way that I think of it. Some people think of it as different things. To me, it's just 2 goes on the outside. Those are the 9 routes, and then an 8 is a post. But in that system, 989, that 8 can be kind of a middle field read where if it's closed, you run an in or a basic, and if it's open, you take the middle of the field so it kind of looks like a post. So that's 989. Oftentimes it's 999, 9s, whatever, but it just means run a go route. Boom. Oh man, we got all sorts of Jacob Fields stuff going on in here. If you were the GM, would you keep Nagy around to develop Jay Fields? I'm never going to, well, that's not true. I'm very rarely going to call for people's heads like that. I don't know. I don't think about it like that. But if I was Matt Nagy, I'd be fired up to call plays and design a system and have a team for Justin Fields. So, sorry, dodging that one. Nick, I'm serious. All right, yeah, for sure. I'm serious as well. I'm always open for it. I love my fantasy football team now is loaded. I should share my screenshot. I don't know how I got this team, but I'm about to run through my son's league. Aaron, is that Aaron? Sorry, I've never seen it spelled like that before. If it isn't, I apologize. Hey, JT, do you watch Wilson after his injury? No. Would you think it affects more to the QB, the injury or not playing? Oh, what do you think affects the quarterback more, the injury or not playing in 4 to 5 weeks? That's an easy one. It's both. Not doing anything for 4 to 5 weeks, you're not going to be good at to be at a world-class level, and then couple that with any type of significant injury, surgery, fast recovery. I don't care. It's all of it above. Don't think of it as binary, either or. It's both, and that makes it worse. Boom. Griffin Harbolt. What gap runs are useful versus mint fronts? Oh, that's a good question. We're diving into the technical element of it. I mean, it depends. I guess the hard part for me answering questions like that, and I get we could say, all 11 are equal to all 11, but I'm always going to try to run whatever our team runs really well. I don't care, what the front is necessarily. Sure, there are things that the mint front tries to take away. I think of mint front trying to take away inside zone. I'm sure it has other strengths and it does cause stress in certain pass protections, but mint front, get on the edge. There's a bunch of different ways to get on the edge with your what you consider gap runs, whether it be wide power, whether it be speed option, whether it be buck, sweep, pin and pull, a bunch of different ways to do it. So I would just don't. I think it's hard. It's not hard for me. I know I have a hard time describing what I think play wise versus certain coverage wise or certain scheme wise or front wise, because I don't think in plays. I think in players. And I didn't make that up. I've heard that. That's a common phrase in the league and across high levels of football. But I don't care, what type of run necessarily you want to call versus a tight front. Just make sure you give it to your best guy and run in behind your best guy, and you do the best that you possibly can. Boom. Maximus, we are probably not going to get the video on what went wrong for Russ on Sunday. I don't love it's not. I personally don't think it's as fun to watch a quarterback struggle or a team struggle on offense, and so I don't love making those videos. Occasionally, it will just be so interesting to me that I have to look, but it's not for the Seahawks right now. Chase, the Mills concept or inside fade. Inside fade is a great call, Chase. That's a great call. I definitely could do that in the offseason for sure. Remind me if I don't do it the next time. Boom. Azim Washington. What is your opinion of Mason Rudolph's performance last Sunday versus the Steelers? I did not watch a snap, and I feel great about it. Derek Armstrong, who's the most exciting quarterback you've seen in college this year with the most potential upside? I really like the dude at, I always want to say the wrong name of the school. I think he used to go to Auburn, now Liberty, Malik Willis. He's what I would consider the most electric cat. Obviously, don't get a chance to watch a whole lot of Liberty, especially the All-22 out here on the West Coast. The other ones that I love watching, the dude from UNC, I don't know how much he's going to translate to Sundays, but I just love I think he's an unbelievable college football player, college quarterback. I love watching the Wake Forest offense. I'm mesmerized by it. I understand it, but it still doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm probably going to do a little bit more Wake Forest in the offseason just because I'm curious. And that's half of how my football journey, of at least what we watch on this channel or what I put out on this channel, it's just what I'm curious about. And the Wake Forest, I did a video a while back on like their slow RPO, slow mesh. But man, they put up some points. They are fun to watch. Who else? The Ole Miss guy. There's a lot of, I feel like, I know this class of quarterbacks is kind of getting the, they're not that great collectively, or there's not a couple, huge guaranteed superstars. But I'm kind of excited to dive into the film and see exactly what it looks like. I really have no, preconceived ideas about many of these guys. I've watched a handful of them that I've shared on the channel before, but, I don't watch a whole lot of like live broadcast college football. So it's a fun time of year for me when it shuts down to be able to go back through the All-22. There you go, Sam Hartman. Zachary Davis. Coach, what is Black 59 Razor? It's an amazing audible is the first thing. Zachary, you're going old school here. I'm probably not going to be able to tell you exactly what it is. I'll do my best memory. So oftentimes when you hear things put together like that, like color, number, some sort of weird weapon or something, those are audibles. So most teams will have a live color. So let's pretend it's black, whether it could be anything. Had it green, had it red, had it orange. It's usually the main color of the franchise, organization, team, college team that you're there with. So black, and then 59 is the protection. Old school West Coast, 59 was like their, I want to say 8-person protection. Basically, everybody stays in. I forget the nuance of it. 9 just means it's set to the odd side. And then razor is the concept. I want to say razor off the top of my head was the inside guy had a post and the outside guy had like a post corner. So kind of like in and out, but it could have been a scissors. Although I think scissors was scissors. That's why I want to say it was like 2 routes coming up. They fake in, they fake at each other, and then they go opposite. So the inside guy would be running a post, the outside guy would be running a post corner. Ooh, Griffin. Have I not done a Haas wide juke? I feel like I have. Maybe not. Yeah, that's a good idea. Although I feel like like if you Googled Haas wide juke, I think you could find stuff from people who might be better than me at installing that play because they've probably played it and or installed it or coached it, taught it, called it at the highest level. I feel like I personally have even watched those videos on YouTube, so go help yourself. Boom. Ruben, I appreciate that. Davis, Coach Leach has also adjusted the scheme a little bit this year, working on some more condensed stuff than he did at Washington. It's better. Yeah, I feel like a lot, well, maybe the last couple years, maybe 2 football seasons, the condensed splits thing has become more, what's the right word? Just, you see it more across all levels of football, where I think in the past it was like certain schemes, like I would think of like the Rams, McVay world would go super condensed. I personally, when I was playing, I was never a huge fan of super condensed splits just because I felt like it limited you what you could do. You know, I never really loved throwing like the quick out type thing from there. A lot of people will run smash on both sides at a super condensed 2x2, and the hitches turn into quick outs. And yeah, you know, I can see them being layups sometimes, but I just never liked quick outs, man. It's a hard ass throw for 6 yards, and it could go the other way, and it wasn't for me. But now I like super condensed formations for a number of different reasons. I think it creates more gaps in the run game. It's a hard flank to line up to. Is it 2 tight ends? Is it 2 wide receivers? Is it 1 of each? Is it a running back? You know, now there's so many people run mesh or crossing routes. The play action game off of it is nice, but I still do think it can, even though you condense the field, you condense the formation, you really condense the field too, because you're not taking advantage of a lot of the horizontal space. Because even if you come out and run corners and flats, you know, I still feel like you're not using the full width of the field. I just like wide splits. I think it makes things cleaner and easier, but you're absolutely right. I feel like it is there. Boom. Obama robot voice. Do you have a favorite NFL coordinator? I mean, I have guys that I'm friends with in the league. I'm trying to think if any of them are coordinators right now. Not really. No. I mean, the easiest way. I just like watching. I think everybody has liked watching the Chiefs the last couple of years. I like watching what Dallas. It was fun to see what Dallas does. I just think that they're, and I think I might have even said it in the video, creative and how they create space and create matchups for their guys, and they're explosive on the perimeter, and they're, you know, got offensive linemen lining up as fullbacks and wide receivers, and cool with the screen game. And I think Josh McDaniels has been outstanding this year with their screen game, running the ball, protecting Mac Jones, those types of things. So basically anytime you see a video on this channel, unless I am just trying to really dunk on someone, which is pretty rare, like I do it occasionally, and I think most of you can get the gist of when it's a joke and when it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. But even then, I still like watching those schemes. Very rarely will I do, you know, I think it's pretty easy if you look over the course of this channel to see like, who do I not do a lot of videos of? Those are probably the types of teams, guys, that I don't love watching either play or scheme-wise. So, roundabout answer. Shane Crane, I'm coming with the jokes. Hank, I like it. Scalen Scott. Yeah, the code words, Reagan, meaning runs to the right. Football code words are not very complicated, if you couldn't tell. Lots of R words, lots of L words. Lots of teams use buckets of, it starts with this letter, so that means this. Uh, bunch of different ways to do it. I think all that stuff is kind of funny, for sure. The Eagles are trash. Smash that like button. I appreciate that, dude. I forgot. I still haven't redone my new Stream Deck to have all my little cool graphics when we do the live. So I appreciate you. Smash that thing. Let me know that you enjoy it. I appreciate it. Cooper Schaefer, do you get nervous when playing, and how would you deal with your nerves? That is an excellent question, Cooper. I'm trying to think. I used to get probably more nervous about starting a new place or starting a new season than I would about playing. And that was more just probably due to like the uncertainty of, how it was going to shake out, what was going to happen, those types of things, as far as just job security wise. But the actual playing part of it, not really. Like, I was never like a huge butterflies, got to throw up type before the game, just because I always felt really confident in my preparation. Like, I tried to always feel like I did everything I possibly could. And that wasn't always the case. But once I was playing in college, and I had a couple people that I thought gave me the roadmap and the menu and the kind of ability to be able to be as prepared as I possibly could be in that moment with that team and where I was in my playing career, that I was always more excited than anything else. Like, I was never nervous when in that regard. I always felt like you work so hard for 10 or more, if you're lucky, opportunities to go out there and play, that, I was just chomping to spin it all over the place. Boom. Davis, Reinhard, JT, how much of an influence has data and analytics made on your play calling, passing, play action on early downs, punting? Davis, that's an outstanding question. I would say it made a significant impact. For the longest time, we didn't even have a punt team. So, I used to say we were basically trying to be the Pulaski Academy of the West Coast, and didn't always work out that way for a number of different reasons. But it is nice, practice planning wise, to not have to worry about punt. That's for sure. As far as going on it, or going for it on fourth downs, we didn't have a punt team, so we were always going for it on fourth down. And then throwing wise, or play action on early downs, we're probably not, at least at the high school level I'm talking about, where I'm calling plays, I don't necessarily think of it as like, hey, we got to throw on first down so we get good looks to throw on, to run the ball, whatever. We're pretty good at running the ball. We always have good opportunities to throw the ball. And so just being smart about when those are, what those matchups looks like, what we're trying to do with the ball, being really intentional with how we construct a lot of our shot plays, because we've had so much success running the ball, that we just want to be mindful of protecting the ball and being aggressive. And I think that's what we try to do with our passing game. So it's not a lot of, I'm worried about being balanced. We're not going to be balanced. We're going to give the ball to the best players, and many of our best players are the running backs. So it's easy in that regard. Now, if I think if it was at higher levels where I was really worried about being balanced, or really kind of, not everybody in the stadium knew what we were going to do, I probably would be more aggressive like that, play action wise. I think the easiest way to think of it, and I think the kind of thing that some of the analytics elements have done, is it's kind of washed away a lot of the gray, as far as like, one of my favorite things from back in the day was, hey, you got to be able to be good running the ball so we can be good at play action to take our shots. Well, in reality, I feel like now people realize you can just run play action. It still works. And the numbers reveal that. And so that part of it, I think probably bleeds into my play calling a little bit, just because I like our play actions and the ability to block it up and take shots, those types of things. But it's a little bit different at the high school level for me with what we're doing. But I think it's a great thing. I think people who kind of poo-poo it or don't really understand it, maybe feel a little insulted, it's not the right word, threatened by some of the revelations that some of that data can reveal. But if I use it as just another source of information, and half the time I'm just fascinated and curious about how some of these grades are created and what they look like, and peeling back the layers of how they come to these conclusions and fancy graphs. But for me, it's just another resource to hopefully help us put the ball in the best player's hands as consistent as possible. Great question. Zachary Davis, what was your favorite play to call when you were in the league? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I went through different variations. Early in my career, I was in a lot of West Coast terminology teams, and I would say any just like simple 7-person protection, like kind of like play action lead draw, like a lot of teams call F2 or Fox 2, and then the double concepts. So if you're getting middle field close, just double comeback, double out, double glance with that middle field read. I thought it was simple, whether it's away from rotation, matchup, just get a completion. And if it wasn't there, I love the checkdowns because they're right in front of your face. You're still protected, but in the league, those guys get out. So you know you can throw the checkdown, where sometimes at the lower levels of football, even high level college, you don't always get the checkdown out. And so I felt comfortable in that regard. Didn't have to worry about hots really. And then I would say probably the second half of my career, when I was in the more digit system world, I loved throwing the deep in. So like the 20-yard 7-step or 5-step from gun, rhythm in. You throw it 2 yards inside the numbers, lay it in there, nice little 7-iron, and it's really unstoppable. I remember watching, God, where were we? We played against the Rams in the back in the day when they were the greatest show on turf, before I was ever knew Mike Martz. And I remember watching them in warm-ups being like, that looks like a layup line, like how they were throwing these ins, and it was just smooth and easy and effortless. And I don't know if I ever got necessarily to that point of it, but I definitely just the element, that kind of like smooth stroke where you just know exactly where to lay it in, and you can really anticipate it and trust that that guy's going to be where he's supposed to be and not screw the quarterback. And the detail and goes into making those types of plays happen. Those are probably my favorite ones. Sam H with the check down. Check down life will get you through. I mean, it'll add years on you in the league. Man, harsh with the Eagles there. Did you ever audible in a situation the OC or coach asked you not to, and you were correct with the call and they were still mad? Yeah, for sure. I used to do that quite a bit in college. We used to have the ability we ran a lot of what was essentially be like wide zone or outside zone, more wide zone. And when we got especially when we got in the goal line type situations, I would flip flop it. And to me, and then we get into film and it'd be like, why the hell did you do this? And they didn't say hell, but why'd you flip the play? It doesn't make sense. And I would just be like, well, it just looked like we had better angles or it was lighter to the side. And then we'd stop it and they'd draw, they would count it out and be like, it's the same. We want to run this way. And I'd be like, well, sorry, not sorry. So there is parts of that. Now that I call plays at the high school level, they don't even have the capacity to do that. I'm sure they could do it if they really thought about it, but we're trying to go so fast and tempo-wise, there's no change in or check in plays at the line of scrimmage anymore. What's the Obama robot voice coming in hot? What's the bigger difficulty leap, high school to college or college to pro? That's a good question. I think I've answered this before. I forget how I answered it. I think that there are like different leaps. Pure football wise, I would say the bigger leap is college to pro. Like lifestyle leap or just changes in your life, I would say high school to college. But maybe I could see guys answering that flipped too. To me, when you're playing, I think it depends on the position too. Quarterback wise, not a lot changes other than the speed of the game. I'm not blocking anyone. I'm not tackling anyone, hopefully. So as long as I can process it and speed up kind of the reads and tempos and be as accurate as you need to be to play consistently on Sundays or play for a long time on Sundays, that part of it is the same at any level. And so that's why I think it's a little bit easier once you learned it. And I felt like I went into the pros more prepared maybe for that level than I went from high school prepared to college. I had, basically 3 years before I took a meaningful snap in college, where as opposed to the league, you got to go in there and compete for a job the first mini camp. Boom. Davis, what is your interpretation of the difference between outside zone and wide zone? That's a great question. What is the difference? So I think of it as almost like the landmark for the back. So outside zone meaning like stretch, like we're pushing, you're trying to get outside the widest guy, whether it's a wing, outside the tight end, way out there. I think of wide zone as more like outside leg of the tackle, maybe at the tight end. Inside zone, can be as tight as the, foot of the guard or foot of the center, different tracks for what that zone looks like. But outside zone to me is pure stretch, like we really want to get the edge, or wide zone, it's a little bit more tempoed and can cut back a little bit more consistently with the angle and track of the back. Good question. Charlie Palmer. Best advice for high school quarterbacks? That's a good question. The first thing, well, I think the first piece of advice that I would give them, and this has probably changed a lot over the course of the years, but the first thing I would do is make sure you actually like football. Okay, I'm around a lot of people at every level of football, and not everybody loves football. So if you don't love it, there's nothing wrong with not doing it, or knowing that you don't love it and you're just going to do it at high school because your friends are doing it, and that can be fine and okay for what you want to do, and that's okay and fine. But if you love it and you're interested in going all in, I would tell you to, first of all, play as many sports as you possibly can, to have as much fun with it as you possibly can, to know that once, hey, I want to try to play at the next level, to do everything you can to make sure that you have access to all the resources that are available. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a private quarterback guru coach, multiple times a week with Zooms and, footwork drills in the park, but they're out there and it's available. And I think it's worth exploring because those guys help. It's just like, to me, having like a swing coach in football and golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I've taken lessons, and I understand that it helps, and it helps to get critical feedback from people who specialize in that. And the other part of it is hopefully you get lucky with who your coach is, what your system is, what your scheme is. But then at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're okay with failing, because there's a chance that you don't play, and only one guy really gets to play. If you're fortunate enough to be in kind of a 2-quarterback system, maybe but even then, you're probably pissed that you're not the one guy. And so you have to be okay with it not working out. And I think once you let go of that element of it and you put everything you possibly can into it, you let the chips fall where they may. But there's so many great resources out there. This channel can be an element, a variable to that process. Hopefully it is for many quarterbacks. But even beyond that, there are so many different ways to take your understanding of ball to the next level. But at the end of the day, and this is where I think it becomes, I get nervous answering this question on such a broad spectrum, because if you are playing and you want to play at the highest level possible, so much of what you do, your identity tethered to, I'm the quarterback, I want to be the quarterback, I'm doing all these things, but so much of it, that the only thing that you can really control is your preparation for your opportunity to go out there and play at a high level when you get your chance. And so to know that you did everything you possibly could, but then the outcome, your performance is tethered to a team, and that, you can't throw it and catch it. You can't throw it and block. And so understanding that your role, you got to maximize that quarterback position, but it's a team sport. And that's why it's so great. That's why I enjoy it so much, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. That means it's a hell of a lot harder, because you've got to elevate and empower all these people around you, and their quarterback position specifically is looked at as that automatic leader, influencer, those types of things, that it all kind of layers together to make this position so much fun and that great to play at a high level, but realizing it's a lot and it's not for everyone, and that's okay. So hopefully that helps. Sam H, missing Nebraska back in the day, man. I bet a bunch of Nebraska fans missed that. My goodness. The Frost era continues, huh? All right. You let me know how that goes. Boom. What else we got? LSO. Oh, Eric, that's a good question. I'll answer that one about the number. In your opinion, what's the earliest age you'd allow your son to play tackle football? I think it depends on the family, the situation, your community. For me, I didn't play till I was in high school, so that's what I tell my kids, and it worked out all right. I think that there's a time and a place that you can get just as much from flag and from playing other sports, to be honest with you. But if they really want to play in high school, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and hold them back. Eric Snyder, why did you wear 14? Two real reasons. One, my dad coached a lot of my youth sports, and so like I think of like t-ball, little league, baseball, basketball, soccer, maybe not soccer, but whatever. And most of those teams, when we had this back in the day, you couldn't customize your jersey. You got numbers 1 through 15. And I was never the biggest kid by any means on the team, but I also didn't want like a little baby jersey. So 14 was like the next biggest jersey. And so that was how it originally started. And then we were living in LA at the time, and my pops loved Mike Scioscia, how he played catcher. And so that kind of just went from there. And then whenever I got a little bit older and got a chance to choose numbers, I got lucked into my position. You could wear teens back in the day. So just kept being 14 wherever I could. Like it. It's a nice emoji there, Sam. I like it. Davis, Will Rogers versus Auburn might be a fun game to break this offseason if you have the time. Yeah. If you have the college all-22 film, I am open for business. Please reach out if there are certain games or quarterbacks that that you'd love to see on this channel. Now if you come at me with like, hey, look at this person, my response to you immediately is going to be, do you have the film? Because if you have the film, I can almost guarantee I'll make it happen if it's someone that would generate interest on the channel. So yes, please. All right, let's do a handful more here, and I gotta go pick up my little dudes. Wednesday out here is a short day. See if we got some other questions. Gurgly. All right. Oh, there we go. Makes it easy. Mike, appreciate it. Boom. Appreciate the support. Super chat. What is the single most improvement you have seen in Justin Fields? Oh, man, we're coming in hot. Alex, I'll get to you too. Rancho Mike. Single most improvement. Man. I don't necessarily, that's not true. I would say a combination of things as far as the comfort level of him feeling like, I felt like at the start when I was watching him, he was trying to be his idea of what a Sunday quarterback looks like, as opposed to just being himself. And being himself to me is a combination of some really special talents of just like being able to be creative, make a play, get upfield vertically, rip it down the field with that, electric accuracy, those types of things. And I think he was confined both systematically and maybe, I'm just assuming here, but like when you get to the league, so much of it is protect the ball, don't go without the, in the confines of the system, don't make a bad play a disaster. And some of those things are applicable. But for me, I just want him to be himself. I think he has the skill set to do it. And I just want the consistency of what the league looks like. You don't have, no offense, but there is no Indiana on the schedule. There is no, off week where you play somebody, an FCS school, if you're Alabama or something like that, where it's just like the consistency of what you need to do Sunday. That's what if he can stay consistent, especially in his improvement, there's no secret. I've always been high on it, but so much of it, people don't want to hear this, but this is my opinion. So much of it is luck. Who's your coach? What's your organization like? Where's your roster? Are you set up to win? Can you stay healthy? All those things go into the cocktail of how successful you are and where you end up in the damn draft. All right, Alex. Chris Cooley, who coaches high school football, said that youths have a hard time snapping the ball. They snap it as hard as they can. Thoughts? Also, how do you like the ball being snapped to yourself? Alex, such a good question. I will say the easiest thing, um, uh, it's not easy to snap the ball, but I will say if you do the dead ball snap, I call it the dead ball snap, but if you hold the nose, do I have a ball in here? Yeah, one sec. So if you hold the ball like this and snap it through your legs, as opposed to gripping it like in like old school and like shooting a spiral through your legs, to me, bad things can happen when you do that. I personally prefer guys to do a dead ball right through your legs. I think it's a lot smaller room for air. It's a lot easier stroke. It's more consistent. I think it's easier. It doesn't mean that it's always perfect, but for me, I just think it's crazy easy to do that versus teaching someone to throw a spiral between their legs at the perfect height. I think it just comes off. It's a shorter stroke. You don't have to go quite as low to the ground. There's a lot of benefits to it. So if you haven't, I want to say it's called the dead ball snap. I call it the dead ball snap because then you can do that even, and we don't do any under center at the high school level, but it's also easier to do kind of routes to the quarterbacks or snaps to the quarterbacks because then you teach everybody in the program to do a dead ball snap, and they're constantly doing that and receiving the ball like that. It's just a smooth, easy transition. So highly, highly recommended. I'm sure you could just Google, YouTube, different ways to learn how to do it. I'm sure there are great drills out there, but we just mess around with what the stroke is, just bring it back like 6 inches, lift it, don't chuck it. And it's kind of hard to honestly try it. If you go out there and try it, to throw it over someone's head. Now I say that and it'll happen, but our guys are pretty serious with it and do a great job with it. That's true, Chase. I will not be doing that game. All right, let's do one more here. Cooper, easy. For me, it's Caleb Williams, although both those guys. I think it'll be fascinating to see where Rattler ends up next year. But again, for me, that's an easy one. Caleb Williams, for sure. So thank you so much for hanging on the live. I always appreciate the support. Thanks for spreading the word across a bunch of different digital platforms. If you dig the channel, it does. I honestly appreciate the grassroots way that this channel continues to grow. So thank you as always, and be on the lookout. Get some more videos, content coming your way. All right, have a good one. Take care. Later.